Seattle Seahawks fans, NFL draft nerds, welcome into Rogue Football, where it is all NFL draft all the time. We have got a 7-round mock draft here for you for the Seattle Seahawks heading into this 2025 NFL draft. We are exactly 2 weeks away. Could not be more excited for this NFL draft. I know it's a draft where there's a lot of varied opinions on the strength of this draft class. I think it's a strong class overall. I think there's a lot of position groups that you can find a lot of value in throughout the draft. And I think the Seahawks are in an interesting position here heading into this draft. Obviously, some bombshell moves made by the Seahawks this offseason, right? Getting rid of Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, bringing in Sam Darnold, which could be a long-term fixture, could be a short-term stopgap option. I think they kind of gave themselves flexibility there. You also go get Cooper Kupp. So it's been a big offseason of change for them. But you have Mike McDonald going into year 2 as the head coach, and I'm fired up to see what the Seahawks can do. And we're going to dive into this 7-round mock draft right now over on the PFF Mock Draft Simulator. The Seahawks currently pick 18th. They also have 50, 52, 82, and 92. So you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, the first 2 days of the draft. That's huge for the Seahawks. I mean, that's really exciting. So I think the top needs when you look at this team are interior offensive line, looking at center, looking at guard. I'm a big Christian Haynes fan. I hope that he can take a step forward in year 2. I thought his tape coming out of UConn was so much fun. So even if he takes a step forward, I still think you could upgrade at the other guard position and at center potentially. I mean, it's not like a dire need with Oluwatimi. I think he can give you a little bit there at center, but I think you could upgrade the interior of the offensive line. You know, PFF has edge listed here, but when I look at edge and, Uchenna Nwosu, bringing in DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously you have Derek Hall and Boye Mafe. I don't think it's a major need. I really don't. And you have a solid interior. You're looking at obviously Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed, some depth guys as well. So I'm excited overall about the Seahawks defensive roster. I think linebacker is going to be a strength. I think corner and safety, mostly a strength. I do think you could use an outside corner, right? When you want to get your guy, Devin Witherspoon, into the nickel, right? I think that's fair to say. Absolutely do. Other than that, on the defensive side of the ball, I think you're in a very, very good position to take a big step forward this year. And then offensively, again, I think interior offensive line, and I think a legitimate speed outside receiver. Right? You have Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp. I know you brought in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but that's when that legitimate word comes into play. To me, he's just not the type of deep threat that's going to really change things for your offense more often than not. And then I think just having a long-term solution at outside receiver to pair with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who doesn't have to be exclusively a slot player, but he's certainly not an X. Cooper Kupp's really not going to be a long-term outside receiver option for you either, in all likelihood. So that's where we're looking throughout this draft when it comes to needs. But I'm always going to make sure if we're addressing a need that there's value in that pick, that we're not making a major reach or anything like that. So without further ado, the Seahawks up at 18. And again, I don't think edge is that big of a need. I do love Donovan Ezraku though there with that pick. To me, the top 2 guys on the board when I'm looking at this are Malachi Starks and Luther Burden. I think Malachi Starks is a tremendous safety prospect. Do you really need to go that direction with Julian Love, with Kobe Bryant, with the rest of the talent in that secondary? I'm not sure. Luther Burden, he could be that guy for you at wide receiver, that deep threat. You've seen him threaten all three levels of the field consistently throughout his college career. Let's take a look at some other potential options for us here. Interior offensive line, I love Tyler Booker. The testing, a bit concerning. I think that's fair to say. It really is. But to me, he still belongs in this range. It's just like you have to know what you're getting out of him. And when I think about what Mike McDonald might like coming from the Baltimore system, like Tyler Booker feels like a Raven. So could he feel like a Seahawk? When you look at the offensive coordinator they brought in, he likes to run a lot of wide zone, outside zone. Does Tyler Booker necessarily fit with that? I don't know. So that's something to keep in mind. You've also got some guys listed at offensive tackle that could potentially play guard for you. Obviously, Gray Zabel kick inside. I think he would be a fine pick at this point. Donovan Jackson. Are you getting the most value out of the 18th overall pick if you're taking a Gray Zabel or a Donovan Jackson? I'm not sure. The cool thing about Donovan Jackson and Gray Zabel to an extent, they have tackle experience. So you're getting someone that can play guard for you immediately. I mean, Gray Zabel could play center as well. But maybe if there's an injury outside at right tackle, which you've had a lot of those over the last couple years, you maybe have a solution there where you can shift pieces around and have some versatility. That's something that's pretty enticing to me overall. But again, it's going to come down to value and the way I view the board. I have a hard time passing on Luther Burden at this point in the draft. He's a top 10 prospect for me. I think he's been overthought a little bit when you talk about the explosiveness, the strength, the catch point skills. Like, he catches everything thrown his way. He's good in contested catch situations, less than 5% drop rate the last 2 years, over 55% contested catch rate the last 2 years. He's a beast with the football in his hands. I think he wins at the catch point by having superior strength, ball skills, ball tracking, and again, the explosiveness to go get it and the focus with his hands. It's hard for me to pass up on a talent like Luther Burden, and I'm not going to do it at 18 overall. I'm just not. And yeah, he has the speed to get vertical and really threaten. I think he's going to be a stud in the NFL, a wide receiver one. Now, we still have a number of needs. I do think that crosses wide receiver off the list of major needs. And again, Luther Burden, Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, we've got a lot of talent in that room now you get excited about. At 50 overall, and we have 50, 52, 82, 92, all in the first 3 rounds here. We could look at corner. We could look at the interior of the offensive line. I think that, Savon Ravel, what an unbelievable gift he would be at pick 50 overall, just based on the fact that he got injured last year. But a guy who I think was ascending to a top 10 talent before that injury. So that's something to keep in mind. And then you talk about the length you have on the outside with Tariq Woolen and Savon Ravel. That would be really impressive. Interior offensive line. Do we have anybody ranked as highly as a Savon Ravel to kind of challenge that line of thinking for us? Tate Ratledge, really productive at Georgia. Solid overall player, both in the run game and pass protection. Wears number 69. Has a mullet. Does it get much better than that for an offensive lineman? No, it does not. I do have a second-round grade on him. I think Savon Ravel is a better swing, more valuable position, better player overall, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. When you look at guys that are at tackle that could also potentially play on the inside, I think Marcus Mbow projects as a fantastic wide zone center. So he's an interesting one. Do we have to pull the trigger on that at 50 overall? Probably not. Ariante Ursary, could he play guard and tackle for you? I think so. I can't pass on Savon Ravel here. He's too darn good. And now you have the best trio of corners in football. Potentially. And I think Ravel's going to be as good or maybe better than Tariq Woolen. I think Devon Witherspoon not coming off the field ever. But you're going to be in nickel more often than not. So you're going to have all three of those guys on the field more often than not. And even when you're not, Witherspoon can also get on the field as a safety for you the way he plays, right? So, yeah, let's just take the best player we can here, who also fits a need, in my opinion. Looking at the next pick here, 52 overall. We've addressed wide receiver. We've addressed corner. I think this would be a fair time to pull the trigger on a Tate Ratledge. Easier projection to the next level because he has cleaner tape than a Marcus Mbow or Marcus Bow. Marcus Bow's flashes are as good as anyone on the planet coming out, but the lowlights are significant and they are there. So there's some consistency needed with Mbow. I think Ratledge comes in and he's ready to play for you right away at guard. Yeah, I think that's the direction we go. And he tested really well. So you're talking about somebody who can come in and immediately get the job done. There's no questions really with the profile of a Tate Ratledge. We still got Jared Wilson on the board. And how about pairing up Wilson and Ratledge again? Just saying, hey, these two guys, they can help us out in a big way. We've got Ratledge, we've got Wilson, we've got Christian Haynes, we've got a young core on the interior that we're building around. I'd get fired up about that. I think Jared Wilson's a tremendous athlete, only 1 year starter at Georgia, but a guy who I think has all the traits to be a plus center, especially in a scheme where you're going to get your guys on the move. Marcus Mbow is off the board. Yeah, you don't have to sell me too hard on this one. Let's go ahead and pair up Jared Wilson and Tate Ratledge, the two Georgia boys heading out to the Pacific Northwest. And now at 92, there is some tremendous value on the board. Look, we've already addressed guard, center, corner, wide receiver. Looking at my notes here, those were the big needs, right? Those were the big needs. Getting a receiver who can test vertically and be a 3-level threat. Luther Burden, Savon Ravel can play outside for you. He can just make you one of the best secondaries in football, quite frankly, with no holes. Tate Ratledge and Jared Wilson, athletic, and they shore up that interior. I think that they give you what you need to run this offense. So it's exciting. This is exciting times. I mean, I think when you look at this, this would be kind of like the perfect scenario for the Seattle Seahawks trying to move this thing forward. And now we can kind of take a luxury pick at this point. I mean, if Jalen Knowles on the board, I know he plays in the slot primarily, but goodness gracious, I love Kyle Williams, love Andrew Makuba. Could you say, hey, we really like Tate Ratledge and Jared Wilson, but we don't really think either of those guys can play tackle if we have an injury? We go get Jonas Avenea, Cameron Williams, Charles Grant, I think would be amazing in this scheme. I know going offensive line and back-to-back picks might sound crazy, but Charles Grant, the athleticism he brings to the field, I think he should probably be a second-round pick, quite frankly. But if he falls, sign me all the way up, y'all. Sign me up. All right, so we've done a lot of work here. And this is the beauty of what the Seahawks have done this offseason is this draft class has the potential. It needs to be, in a lot of ways, it needs to be foundational, but it has so much potential to be that with 5 picks in the first 92 selections of the draft. It doesn't get much better than that. So now we can just draft the best players available for the rest of the draft, really, in my opinion. Obviously, we can take a look at quarterback and, Tyler Shuck, if he's available in round 4. I think that's the type of swing I would love to take because he's got all the tools. You have Sam Darnold. If Tyler Shuck can come in and impress you, again, probably the best physical arm talent in the class. Mobile, can throw off platform, has a lot of the stuff you're looking for just from a playmaking standpoint and from a process standpoint. Let's do it. Sam Darnold has, it looks like a big deal, but you kind of break it down and it could be a short-term swing. Not saying it needs to be, but that's an option on the table for you now. You kind of have multiple ways, multiple pathways to have success at quarterback long term now. And Chuck is an older prospect. That's really the only knock you can have on him outside of injury. This is a deep running back class, very deep running back class. So there's going to be guys that you could potentially take here. Trevor Etienne, very explosive. I think he could thrive in this type of scheme. Just going to try to make sure that there's nothing that we're missing on here. I mean, Ty Robinson, a very explosive football player. Straight line explosiveness, penetration style guy who brings full effort consistently. Could be a defensive end in this type of scheme. I don't have him rated ahead of Trevor Etienne. I'll just tell you that right now. And this is a deep wide receiver class too, despite what some people will tell you. To me, like Ty Felton, Jalen Lane would be great swings here. Even later on, I think Chimere Dike out of Florida. But yeah, I think Trevor Etienne, honestly, the explosiveness, the contact balance, the vision. And I know running back's not a need, but we're talking about like building out this roster to the best that we can. Yeah, I like Trevor Etienne a lot there. And let's see if we can still get a Ty Robinson. Yeah, he's still on the board. Sign me up. He's a full effort type of player. And you love that, especially combined with his testing. Malachi Moore is a consistently underrated player to me in this draft class, the safety kind of star position out of Alabama. I know safety is not a need. Julian Love is not the youngest guy in the world anymore. He's certainly not. I don't think he's about to hit a wall or anything like that. But again, talking about building out the best team we can here. I think Malachi Moore is just a great value at this point in the draft. And I like the linebacker group a lot. I do think Shamar James is a great late round swing. What he was able to show at the Senior Bowl really kind of blew me away. His ability to quickly fire downhill, but also to cover backs out of the backfield. Let's go ahead and do it. And we have put together what I think is an incredible draft class for the Seahawks here. Would love to know what y'all think about this one. Give me your feedback. But yeah, again, I didn't think edge was a need. You've got DeMarcus Lawrence, you've got Uchenna Nwosu, you've got Boye Mafe, Derek Hall. These are all good football players, right? So Luther Burden, Savon Ravel, to me, those massively upgrade two of the positions that are rapidly becoming more valuable on the field, and then also from a monetary standpoint. Tate Ratledge and Jared Wilson and Charles Grant massively upgrade the offensive line, right? And then you've got Tyler Shuck, who kind of gives you a different pathway potentially at quarterback, long-term, multiple options. Trevor Etienne, too good to pass up on in the 5th round. Same thing with Ty Robinson. I think Malachi Moore and Shamar James you can say the same thing about. So, again, Seahawks fans, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Draft nerds, same thing. Let me know what you think. And if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.